Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of January 9th, 2023. Sandy, please call the roll.
Ayala.
Here.
Gerhardstein.
Here.
Jaworski.
Here.
Kosky. Here. Levon.
Here.
Soloto. Here. Thielman.
Here.
Okay, approval of council minutes.
I make a motion we approve the council minutes from December 19th, 2022.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilwoman Soloto, that the council meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ayala.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Councilman Gerhardstein.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from the organizational meeting of January 2nd, 2023.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilwoman Soloto, that the meeting minutes of the organizational meeting of January 2nd, 2023 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ayala.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. So on behalf of myself and everyone here at City Hall, I would like to give my condolences to the Sursa Fink families. Joyce Sursa recently passed away. She is our council clerk and mayor's secretary's mother. She worked here as an administrator for the service garage for 30 plus years, and she was an unbelievable employee and person, and she will be deeply missed. Also, I spent several days last week along with our finance director diving into the budget. And I want to say I'm proud to say I trimmed a few $100,000 off of that budget without hurting any infrastructure projects that we're doing or anything like that. So you guys will receive a new budget draft within a week. Snowfall on Christmas weekend was serious. We haven't had a cold snap and snowfall like that in a long time. The service department did get the roads taken care of. We're always trying to figure out better ways to take care of things when we have a serious storm like that. And just want to say glad to be back for another fantastic year. So,
Any questions or comments for the Mayor, Safety Director? Mayor, I guess I have one. So we're not ready to talk about the budget next Monday. We'll have to wait until we
no, it'll come out this week.
Oh, this week? Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that
yeah,
week.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments for the Mayor, Safety Director? Seeing none, move on to reports and communications from the Director of Law.
First, I would like to thank the mayor and council for bringing me on board. I'm very excited to work with all of you, and I would also like to pass my condolences on to the Sursa and Fink families. And other than that, I don't have anything to report this week. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for the Law Director? Thank you. Communications from the Council President. I only want to offer my condolences to the Sursa Fink family as well. Are there any amendments or additions to the agenda? Councilman Gerhardstein.
I'd like the cemetery improvements to be added to the agenda, please.
Okay, we'll add cemetery improvements to the new business A. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to administrators. Police Chief Vice.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I have to add to my monthly report is if folks remember, I reported about a couple of shootings that we had at the mug shots and the VFW and another one in the Eldon Ridgeview area. I can tell you that we have identified who the shooter was in both of those cases. In the mug shots case, he has been arrested and charged, and he posted his bond. The second one on the Eldon Ridgeview, we're still working on that to try to put enough evidence together to bring charges. That's all that I would have this evening.
Any questions or comments for the Police Chief? Thank you, Chief Vice. Fire Chief Powers.
Thank you, Council President. As you're aware, we had two structure fires just a couple days before Christmas. It's always terrible to have a structure fire any time of the year, especially before Christmas. Both families were able to move on though, and move into something to accommodate them during the holidays. Then I just bring up again, today I had another part-timer resign to go to another department. And ironically enough, had a meeting at a local fire department, another fire department the other day, and I saw this kid sitting in the hallway. I said, he looks familiar to me. And sure enough, he had just got hired by us, or started the process of hiring by us 5 days earlier, and he's over at another fire department trying to get a job there too. So it's very competitive, despite what these young kids, and they're all great kids, say that they're gonna work totally with us and for us. They're venturing out, and the fire chiefs talk, obviously, and we understand that too. So it continues to pose a problem with our staffing. And that's all I have, Council President.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief Powers. Finance Director Doles.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to inform the council that my monthly report may be delayed this month because of the closing of 2022 has to be all tied up, and it's a little more time consuming than a normal month-end close. And also that I will have the second draft of the budget out by the end of this week. I'm hoping Thursday, but by Friday, certainly.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Councilman Gerhardstein.
Can you explain the email about the $285,000 to the state?
Some businesses and individuals can file their income taxes or their net profit taxes through the Ohio Department of Taxation instead of RETA. And I got notified that they have given refunds and there was not enough tax collections to balance it out. So at the end of each year, if that is the case, then they asked for the refund from the city. So that's what that is.
That's the refund that we're giving the state of Ohio from tax filers that filed with the state of Ohio.
Correct.
Okay. Now I understand the email.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments? Councilman Jaworski.
Just so, this wasn't, for instance, this whole mess that's going on with where people were working virtually and they weren't getting, or the income tax was being reimbursed because they weren't working their actual job in the actual city where they were working.
Part of it could be. It could be any number of things. It could be net profit. It could be a work from home, or it just could be a refund because someone overpaid. It could be any of those things.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you, Ms. Doles. Engineer Formica.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to add to my written report.
Any questions or comments or questions for the city engineer? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Service Director Strouser.
Thank you, Council President. I just have a couple things to add to my written report. Did want to say, even though it's middle of winter, starting today, they were going to start on the Park Street sewer improvements. So they're going to be digging that up, and just we gave out letters to everybody on Friday. They're doing some minor repairs, and also they've been working on the sewer repairs, finishing up Lakeland Boulevard project. So they've been trying to line the sewers there. They ran into a couple issues, but they have been there working. So it's still nice to see that even though it's winter, some construction projects are getting done. Also, I did want to mention one of my employees is going to be getting a disability leave, disability retirement. So we're going to be pretty soon looking in the market to replace him. Just wanted to mention that. That's all. That's all I have.
Any questions? Okay. Councilwoman Koski.
Ron, can you address some probable audience concern about Fairway Drive?
Sure. Yeah, I spoke with a couple people. I would imagine there's a couple people here from Fairway. I spoke with the two of them last week. We tried to address some of the issues that they had. I explained to them that Fairway Drive, it was not experimental project, as this product's been around for like 20 years, at least. I know that Cleveland Heights has been doing it on their streets. Pete and I talked. Cleveland Heights has been doing it on their streets for at least 20 years. You know, I just did explain to them that the city of Chardon actually just did a project on an industrial street, which I think that, I don't know if I would do that on an industrial street, but that's just because of heavy truck traffic and stuff. So there's a lot more people are using this. This is a cheaper way to go to save the street. So we said, I actually fought this a little bit with Pete, and I kind of had some going back and forth, and last year we decided, hey, let's try it on the street and see how it works out. So we did try it out on Fairway. We decided to try it on Fairway for a few different reasons. But it was a nice short street. It wasn't real long, stuff like that, not a lot of traffic. So we decided to try it there. Some people are okay with it. I have talked to some residents, they're fine with it. Is it gonna extend the life of the street? Absolutely. It was a $40,000 project. It's gonna extend the life of the street before we have to resurface it. Is it what the residents want? From the amount of...
No, absolutely not.
Guys, please, please don't interrupt our meeting. Will you have a chance to speak during audience participation?
From a lot of the people that have been complaining, there's been more displeasure for sure than one or two people that I've talked to that are okay with it. So we did our best. We went up there, we swept the street last week. I know it's just a temporary thing. I do believe that, you know, this is not going to be a continuing problem once all this stuff, you know, settles and seals over. Plow a little bit more of it off. Hopefully it'll cure this. If not, then we'll look at the next step and, you know, whether we repave it or whether we, you know, put another coat of sealer on it. I don't know what the answer is, but we'll certainly look at it.
Can maybe Pete address, like, how much would it have cost to completely redo the
At least 3.5 to 4 times more to do a resurfacing. This was not a resurfacing project. This was preventative maintenance. Okay, we did this street so that we can extend its life. It wasn't ready for resurfacing at the point where we did it. Bless you. We did it to extend its life so that we don't have to resurface it for another 10 years. Okay, we're trying to stretch our dollars, as we all know. We need $3 million a year just to touch each street in the city once every 20 years. Just to touch each street once every 20 years. We need at least $3 million. We don't have that kind of money, I know that. We try to get funding from grants and the federal government and everyone else, and we're getting that, but it's still not keeping up. So we're trying to extend the life of those streets that are not in horrible condition, but not in the, you know, in perfect condition. I can name 5 other streets right now that we could do this to, extend the life of it, so that we don't have to worry about that. We can hit the really bad stuff now, and then we can get to the best. It's preventative maintenance. It's not resurfacing. Okay? There are some chips, as I told council 3 times, I believe, in 3 separate meetings. We're gonna have some stone and some stuff. Give it till spring. Let's wait. It'll smooth out. I guarantee it. I've been doing this for 28 years in Cleveland Heights. I've done millions of dollars worth of this product, using this exact same product. It's not a trial. It's not an experiment. I brought Ron and the assistant service director out to these streets and showed them, this is what this street's 4 years old since I've done it. This is what we're gonna get. And they were like, oh, wow, it's not bad. That's why we decided to use it in Wickliffe. And I recommend that we continue to use it on other streets.
So what ends up happening with all this loose stone that's currently being
It goes
churned up and going on the driveways and?
We sweep it off, and we.
I mean, like, does a street sweeper continue to pick
Yeah,
it up, or does it end up grinding into the street and sticking, or what's the?
That's the intent. The material that we use, it's called slag. Okay, so that slag kind of grinds down a little bit and breaks down and gets into the tar that we use as the base, so that we will end up with a smooth street and we won't have chips and stone and dust coming off of that street. By the time the plows are done this season, it'll be fine. And as Ron said, if it is a problem, we can come back and put another application of the final coat, which is called fog seal. It's kind of like the final tack coat to hold everything down, and it'll even be better. Plus, we need to crack seal it.
And if that was something that was to happen, that would happen anytime in the near future because of temperature, correct?
No, yeah, we'd have to wait till spring. Yes, absolutely.
There also, I mean, there was some gravel that we cleaned up out of our guy's driveway. I actually had my guy on second shift take a picture of the one guy's garage. We got some complaints that some of the black dust from that was trapping in their houses. I mean, so I just want to throw that out there. I mean, is it a perfect product? No, by any means, but, is it gonna extend the life of the road? It will. So I guess it's gonna be up to you guys in the future to decide whether we want to continue using this or, what we want to do. But it is a significant cost savings for sure.
We used this on Greenwich Golf Course parking lot.
When? How long ago?
8 years ago?
Probably, at least more.
Yeah.
Has
Probably close to
anything
10.
been done with it since?
And
or
it
no?
really, we shouldn't have used it. It was,
Yeah.
that parking lot was
Was too
not in the greatest condition, but we still used it because we had to get something done. And so we used it, and I think it's holding up fantastic. Sure, cracks reflect through it, but it's holding up great.
Okay. I was gonna say, I recommend that other council members drive down Fairway
Absolutely.
and check it out during the daylight and sunshine so you can see what the street looks like. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sure you will have questions.
Sure.
We will have questions during audience participation. Thank you.
Pete, just a couple of follow-up questions. Experimental, well, one's a statement. Experimental is a term I use to the neighbors because it's experimental in Wickliffe. So that's a term I use, not just in general to any kind of road
Right.
repaving. But the streets you do in Cleveland Heights or have done, are they improved streets or are they like Fairway without curbs? Because some of the
Both.
problem is that these stones are going into everybody's lawns.
Yeah, both, and there's mostly curb streets that we've done, and also that the driveways would go up. Fairway does, we have some driveways that do taper down and maybe that caused more tracking. That's a possibility.
Okay.
But usually they all do, most of them had curbs, and it's picked up by the street sweeper.
Yeah. So that's one of the issues on Fairway.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the city engineer? Councilman Jaworski.
Ron, you mentioned we're gonna be losing another service department employee. How will this impact, should it snow again, because the forecast right now is looking nice and warm in the 40s and 50s the next 2 to 3 weeks out, but will this impact the plow service?
It will a little bit if we have a bad storm. If it's not a bad storm, it won't affect us at all. But if it is bad, it will because we have a couple new employees, that I've been out training a couple new guys that do have their CDL. We do have one new guy that does not have a CDL yet. We hired him without it, but he is signed up he's gonna start his CDL training course in March. But he won't, it's a few month process before he gets it, so. Right now it's hard to find employees, so we ended up hiring a young kid, and we're very happy with his performance, but he didn't have it. He's paying for the school on his own. He will be starting in March, and he'll probably have it by June. He'll probably have his CDL, so. But he can still come in. Actually, I brought him in one day when it was bad. I brought him in to plow the parking lots in a pickup truck. He does have his temporary, but he can't drive by himself, so I could put him on the truck with someone, or I could drive with him myself, and I could put him on the truck if absolutely necessary. But that last storm, it was bad. The salt just was not effective. We threw 300, I don't know if you looked at my report, it was pretty much just that one thing we threw 375 tons of salt in that, which is significant for one storm, and it just didn't do anything. It was just too cold for it to be effective. You can look up, there's all kinds of charts once it hits below 20 degrees, salt becomes less and less and less effective, and it was down around 0, so I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like ridiculous. For a mile of road, you use 400 pounds of salt per mile or something at 20 degrees, and you use 4,000 pounds at 0 or something at 10 degrees. It's crazy. I mean, we did get it. It took long. We actually were out 2 days after the snowstorm still plowing, because what happened was all the side streets got hard pack on them, and our plows just went right over the top. They didn't even take it off, so we had to wait for it to warm up a little bit. And, everything iced over in the salt, and then the plows just ran over top of it. But we actually did salt the entire side streets, everything, and it just wasn't too effective.
Any idea how much overtime you used during that period?
I don't know offhand, but I think roughly, let's see, 20 times 12, probably about 400 hours of overtime. Man hours. we went through the whole entire crew, everyone got at least 12 hours, and then a lot of guys went through a second time and got 8 to 10 to 12 hours.
You guys, I was driving around on that Friday, and every single city was struggling, so
Yeah.
I understand.
Any other questions or comments for the service director? Mayor?
Yeah, I know normally when roads are gonna be done, we send out a letter or we inform residents of the construction that's about to happen. Did this happen in this case?
Very late, yes. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. Really?
Guys, again,
Fairway.
again, please, don't interrupt
I
me.
mean, I apologize.
So I actually, it did not get sent out. It was just a matter of, the contractor called us. They were supposed to be a few weeks out. They finished up the job early and said, hey, can we show up tomorrow? And they staged their stuff over on Garden, and they said, we're gonna show up tomorrow. So as I found that out, when we met them down there before, I went and I knocked on, everybody had a car in their driveway. I knocked on every single door. I think I talked to 4 or 5 residents on the street and told them, hey, look, this is happening tomorrow. Unfortunately, I know it's a little notice, but it is happening tomorrow. And we did not send out a notice, and that is, whatever.
It's not typical.
It is not typical.
Not typical. We usually do, and my apologies. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Councilman Gerhardstein?
Ron, since you already know you're going to lose an employer, are we already starting our search for another one?
I'm not, because I have a couple things up in the air right now. And this actually, he just got the approval, so he may be here as long as, he has to be gone before the end of February, so he may be here for a while yet. And then depending on when he uses vacation time, stuff like that, so I don't have it in the budget, so maybe a little while before I can replace him.
Any further questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Ron. Building Commissioner Sack?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. In addition to my monthly report, the year-end report is also in your packet. And if there's any questions, feel free to contact me. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the Building Commissioner? Thank you, Rick. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just one thing to add to my written report. On Saturday is going to be our annual Winter Fest. Winter celebration, I know we probably won't have a lot of snow, but hopefully cold temperatures. But the golf course from 1 to 4, we have a chili cook-off. We're up to about 9 entries. So coming up, everything is free. Just a lot of activities. Lake Metro Parks will be out there. And just some family fun at no charge. That's it.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director?
What's that? Is that this week? No. I wasn't listening.
Thank you, Tim. We do not have an Economic Development Manager, so we'll move on to audience participation. I will now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address with the City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. This meeting is being recorded, so she does have a microphone, correct? So please, if you can, just grab the microphone so that anybody that watches this via YouTube later can understand or hear you. Could you please state your name and address, please?
Thank you, Council President. Bob Bassarelli, 1901 Fairway Drive. I'm at the end of the street in the cul-de-sac. So I'm a 35-year resident of the city of Wickliffe. I'm a 35-year homeowner in the city of Wickliffe, and I've lived on Fairway Drive for 11 years, okay? So when I purchased my home on Fairway Drive 11 years ago, the area was beautiful, the street was beautiful, and the homes are beautiful. Well, today the homes are still beautiful, but the street is far from beautiful. I'm here today with about half of my neighbors from the street. So just if you guys want to just stand or wave or something so we know which ones are the neighbors from my street. So there's 18 houses on my street. This represents about 9 of those houses, okay? Just so you have a feel. So it came to my attention that at the October 10th council meeting, the mayor commented on the street as being impressed with it. The final results looked very nice, and the city engineer said, quote, it will look nice when it's all said and done. Well, as of today, it doesn't look nice, and unless something significant is done, I don't think it's going to look nice when it's all said and done. And this is not just my opinion, it's opinion of most of the residents on Fairway Drive. Yesterday, instead of watching the Browns game, which was a good thing I didn't, I went door to door, and I spoke personally with 11 of the 18 homeowners on the street. And the words used to describe the street were, quote, deplorable, disgraceful, unsafe, worse than a country road, and a detriment to my property values. That's what your fellow residents said. As for me, I share these views. Further, I think it's an embarrassment for me to have anyone over to my house. Over the holidays, I had guests over like most people. I had some contractors. I had new siding put on my house. I had some contractors around. You know what the question I get is? When is your street going to get finished? And you know what I say to them? The city says it is finished, and they look at me in disbelief. Okay? I brought a few pictures, if I may share with everyone. You can pass those around there. Pass them down this way. Put some there. So as you can see, I'll let everyone get one. As you can see from the first set of pictures, there's loose gravel everywhere, and I mean everywhere, in the street, in the aprons, in the driveway, in our garages, and in our homes. Now, I appreciate, Ron, that you cleaned some of the gravel up and all that. It's been everywhere, and it'll come back again. As the plows come back again, we'll get more gravel. Their tar tracks are everywhere, up the drive, in the garage, and tracking into our homes. Okay, if you would have looked at the street after the last snowfall, and if you would have drove down the street between then and the rain, you would have seen tire tracks up everybody's driveway, without exception. You couldn't tell it on the one asphalted house on the street, but everyone else. If you turn the page over, you'll see there are fissures, cracks, and uneven pavement along the entire street. It's worse in the cul-de-sac at the end of the street, but it's also bad along the length of the road. This road was completed less than 3 months ago, and in my opinion, it looks like it's been around for 5 years. Just my opinion. In addition to all this, the road is aesthetically unpleasing, in my opinion. When I purchased my house 11 years ago, I didn't purchase a home on a poorly maintained country road. I purchased it on a well-maintained city street in Wickliffe. Unfortunately, the appearance of a poorly maintained country road is what I have today. And I'm concerned that this appearance is going to detract from my property value. In closing, I'd like to know 3 things. 1, why was there never any communication? And you acknowledged that there wasn't, the work that was going to be going on. And then when you realized that, why didn't you communicate what was happening? Okay. Because I was excited when I saw trucks coming down my street. Oh boy, I'm getting a new street here. I was a little upset that no one told me I was getting a new street, okay? But at least I was getting a new street, okay? They just showed up. And then if it's, quote, experimental or new to Wickliffe or whatever the term is you want to use, okay, why wasn't it ever communicated to the city residents on what to expect by the city? The significant loose gravel, the tar running up the drives and into our homes, is this what we should have expected? And if we should have, then you should have told us. And if it's not what we should have expected, then why do we have it? Okay? And then what's going to be done to remedy the situation? And if we're just talking about a little patch job here or there, I don't think it's going to do the job. I want the same treatment for my street as that of other streets in Wickliffe. No more, no less. And if this is what it's going to look like on other streets, maybe we should invite them all down to see our street and what they can expect also. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if others may want to comment too.
Oh,
This was mine.
I will. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Brandon Abate, 1940 Fairway Drive. I just want to add, I have a 5-year-old little girl named Ruby who actually wanted to come and complain about Crumble Road, which is what she calls it. Next door to what you're laughing. That's good. I'm glad you're taking it very seriously. Next door to us is a 3-year-old little boy who I watched trip on this street on Halloween night. And one more house down is a 4-year-old little girl. These are 3 houses in a row with young children who, I don't know how they're going to learn to ride a bike on this. It's unsafe. Kids couldn't even walk down it on Halloween. And this is now the street that they're going to grow up on. We don't have curbs. You're right. We don't have sidewalks. There is not a safe strip of anything to walk down our street right now for a child, let alone I have a road bike, a bicycle, 10-speed tires. I don't think I could get down the road on it. And if you're going to tell me that it's acceptable to have a street without sidewalks, without a walkable or bicycle friendly street, I'm dumbfounded. Experiment on a street with curbs and sidewalks if you want to play around and see if people complain, because that's, in my opinion, that was the experiment. Let's see if they complain, and if they don't, we'll put this thing everywhere. And you know what? My last thing I want to say is we did not get a street repair. We got a street downgrade. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, just go ahead. Please state your name and address, please.
Veronica Overbaugh, 1928 Fairway Drive. I used to walk down the street, the length of the street, until I had my stroke. Since then, I've had to use a walker. And the walker doesn't work because the wheels keep sinking into the pavement or the coating that is on there. So if anybody wants to come down to our street and check it out and see just how good this paving job is, please give them my address or just say Wickliffe, Wickliffe, any of the local counties or the local streets. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Here.
Right back there, sir.
Go ahead.
Here.
Go ahead.
It's for the internet.
Thank you, everybody. Let us come over here and talk to you. I'm from 1900 Fairway Drive. 5 years ago, I had a back surgery. Our street, according to the road department, is B Street. The street next to us is A Street. So they do A Street before B Street. B Street done after 4 or 5 hours, snow removal, I mean. Because our street is B Street. They come down, they go around, and they go back. They come back a day later to finish the street, the middle of it. Like 5 years ago, I had a back surgery. I backed up my car. I couldn't back up all the way because it's in the middle of the road was all snow. I had to have my neighbor come and help me get out. So please do a better job on that road. Make it A Street or B plus instead of B Street. That's a shame to call A Street and B Street in Wickliffe. We in the 20th century, 21st century.
Well, I'm sure it's snowplow removal, right? So you address that with your employees, especially when the cul-de-sacs, correct?
So, right, so what he's talking about, I don't know who talked to him, it wasn't me that talked to you, I can guarantee, because we don't call it AV. But anyways, we have primary streets and secondary streets. The reason why Cedarhurst and Ridgehurst is a primary street is because there's a hill on it. Any street that has a hill is a primary street. So it is, but it is not, certainly not so the service department has to, has to take care of the streets that have the hills and curves and things like that first. And then they come back and take care. It
21st century.
It is that, but okay, yeah.
Okay. Would anybody else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Yes, go ahead, sir.
My name is Bill Kilroy. I live at 1906 Fairway. Council President, City Council, paving company people, engineering, whoever I should address this to. My concerns with the recent paving project are many. The surface is uneven and there are many loose stones making it unsafe for children. The driveways are discolored for days at a time, leaving the tire tracks from the surface material. The curbs have been covered with the paving material, very sloppy workmanship. The end of my driveway, like many others, have been covered with paving material. Mine is uneven and is unsightly. The edges of the road are uneven, and there appears to be overspray on other surfaces. The loose stones are all over the driveways, and in my case, in my garage, and requires cleanup as I have nature stone and a grass surface golf simulator in my garage. The loose paving surface has also stained my carpet, and I recently had it cleaned, and I've only been there 15 months. The gravel that was put down on the edges of the road is uneven, and it should have been installed in some sort of a straight line for a better appearance. Overall, I feel the workmanship was very, very substandard. Regarding the service department, we moved into our home right after the tornado hit last year on our street. I'd like to say that the service department did a fantastic, tremendous job of cleanup, and I think overall they're doing a great job. Bob Schneider has followed up with me. Is it Bob or?
Yes.
Bob? Okay, all right. Has followed up with me on all my calls to discuss conditions. He was very, very cooperative. He met me out on the site to see the issues. He's been very cooperative. Regarding the engineering company, I think, who was responsible for the project, I feel that they are not willing to do anything about correcting the issues. Pete Formica, who I believe is in charge of the project, I think was with the firm that may have recommended the company. I'm not sure about all that, but he has not been cooperative. He would not meet me to look at the issues. He would only say that he would swing by and take a look. It is my opinion that the people that are responsible for hiring the company that completed the project should have them or another company redo the entire surface or at least correct the issues. I believe the residents should have answers to our concerns soon rather than just hear that the issues will be addressed in the spring. Thank you.
I'd like to take that. Go ahead, sir.
My name's Chris Overby. I live in 1928 Fairway Drive. This is my mother here that has the walker. She's 86 years old, and as she said, she's having a very difficult time getting her daily exercise. There's just no moving that thing up and down the street. And I don't know how many of you people have been, probably none of you have been up and down that street ever. If you don't live on it, you probably have never been down there. Why would you, unless you have somebody that lives there? But there's a real problem there. And it's not just a health hazard, as some of the residents have stated, but for my mother, it's a matter of just daily issues that she cannot get out and do the things that she needs to do. We don't have sidewalks. And we're not asking for curbs and sidewalks. We're just asking for a street that looks like everybody else's in Wickliffe. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Wickliffe City Council? Go ahead, sir, right there.
Jim List, 29717 Arthur Avenue. I'm here to talk about the traffic light at Warden and Lakeland. Last Tuesday, the light turned. I got stopped by a light at 6:11. Light didn't change till green till 6:17 p.m. So that's a 6-minute wait. Friday, I'm going northbound on Warden, beyond Lakeland, and the traffic was backed up to the senior center. I just think the light needs adjusting. It's a safety hazard. A paramedic truck would have a hard time getting down going north on Warden Road. So it's a safety issue I'm concerned about too. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Want me to address that?
Go ahead, Brian. You address that.
So, Mr. List, so just wanted to let you know, we're aware of the problem. We found a problem there last week. One of the bulbs that was heading in the southbound only. That's the only time that's the only situation that I know of, it's just heading southbound. One of the councilmen's called us 3-4 times on it. My traffic department has been there. One of the bulbs definitely had an issue where it was shorting out, and it would not let the thing go into the loops. It would not let the loops pick up their things. That's why there was the delay. I had my traffic guy there Friday, had him there again this morning. He watched it all day long. They believe they have the problem fixed, but there's no guarantees, you know what I mean? So, it's still an issue from, a lot of that was damaged when we had the road project, and they just actually, the more of the damage was from AT&T when they dug up the street on the corner when they were doing the bridge project. But we are aware of an issue there, and we're addressing it. So if you see any more, don't hesitate to call the service department and let us know. If you see it screw up, let us know, because it's not happening very often, but it is happening for sure. And like I said, the Councilman Harstein there, he's called me on it twice already. He said it happened to him. I've been through it 20 times, and it's never happened to me. But we do know there's an issue, and we're doing our best to get it solved.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
My name is Dennis Vidic. I live at 1934 Fairway Drive. Been a resident of Wickliffe for over 40 years. Pete, I'd like to address this to you. I know that you're the lead person on this project, and I know that you presumably did your testing, you did your due diligence, you did your research, and I can't believe, and I'd ask everybody in council to see if you believe that his research came through with the fact that this particular type of sealant on Fairway Drive was compatible with every city that you researched. I can't believe that, because if that's true, we're the only street that has a problem. Does that make sense? Something's wrong somewhere. Either his research is faulty, his specifications are faulty, or we're just a bunch of residents that feel like complaining. If you come down Fairway, you'll see what the problem is, you'll identify the problem, and it should be addressed. And I don't think nodding your head, agreeing is going to help. I think you need to get up, take a look at it. I think you need to make a commitment. You need to make a commitment to say, there is a problem. Each one of you recognize that there is a problem, and recognize that it needs to be resolved to the satisfaction of the residents. If not, you should take your seat and go home.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address Wickliffe City Council?
Yes, Justina Vidic, 1934 Fairway Drive. And all the residents have done an incredible job trying to paint the picture. But as my father did state, this is worth a drive. And this is after the cleanup that we do appreciate that you did. But what I want to add some light to is the damages that will continue to go on a day-to-day basis to all of our vehicles. Now, coming from Broadview Heights, every single time that I come, there is tar over my white car. And this is on all of our vehicles. Who is going to take care of these damages that is going to continue to happen? And since we've done our research, and you did the diligence that's behind that, you will find in the state of Indiana, there is actually a tort class action lawsuit. 366 people have filed claims, and all of those damages have been approved. So is the city of Wickliffe ready for the ramifications to take care of the damages to our vehicles? We can go on and on and on here, but this is your next steps to take action. So within 30 days, let's come together, have a meeting of the minds, and a game plan. And I think that's fair enough. We appreciate your time today.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Right there.
My name is Joe Angelo. I live on 1905 Fairway Drive. I'm an actual engineer. I don't really understand the scientific basis as to how the streets are going to even out over time and how this is going to magically end. And if there's a sealant that would improve what you did, I don't understand why you're not using it now. I mean, that's all.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council?
I'd like to add one other thing regarding the carpet cleaning and that. I think everybody can hear me okay. Everybody can hear me?
No,
Yeah.
on the internet.
regarding the, as I mentioned, we had to have our carpets cleaned, and will the city be willing to pay for things like that, as well as the damages to the cars and that too? And that's probably not something that we have to wait to find out. I think we could probably get an answer to that by the next council meeting, I would think. As far as the repairs and resurfacing or whatever we need to do to make the repairs, I realize it's winter, but I mean, we still should have some kind of a plan in action real soon. Thank you.
One other thing I failed to mention, those people that use their snow throwers in the wintertime and do their driveway, and they throw the snow out, they're also throwing out these white crumbly pebbles that are on the street and on our driveway. So if you park your car across the street, you're going to get hit. It's like a machine gun. The neighbor who's going to shovel snow next door, you got to watch out for him, because you're shooting those pellets out as well. So there's another factor that as a potential liability for residents and maybe for the city. So I think all in all, you ought to take into consideration all of those things that are detrimental to people, to kids, to the elderly, huh?
And to the community, if you're going to consider this on other streets.
Okay. Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Mayor?
Yeah, just, on a serious note, seriously, I would like to apologize for all your frustrations. You know, city council and myself, we rely on recommendations from our administrators. Pete had good luck in the past with this, but you can definitely bet everybody up here is gonna put their heads together to try and make things right. You can, I get it, I don't live there. When I drove down there, it was like day 2, it did not look this bad, but I get it, I heard the complaint. So please, sincerely, take my apology for your guys' frustrations, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, we'll mark audience participation closed. Any committee reports? Any commission reports? Seeing no old business, move to new business. A, cemetery improvements. Councilman Gerhardstein.
Yes, Council President, I would like to see if the cemetery improvements could be put into the improvement committee.
All right, we'll add the cemetery improvements to the improvement committee.
Can I add an additional business item or wait till miscellaneous?
I'll wait to miscellaneous, please. Okay, we'll move on to ordinances.
Okay, first one up, ordinance number 2023-01. By title only, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Thielman. To suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2023-01 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Solota. Yes. Steelman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Bala to adopt ordinance 2023-01 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Solota. Yes. Steelman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-02. By title only, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio to transfer a sum of money from the general fund to various funds and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilman Bala to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2023-02 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Solota. Yes. Steelman.
Yes.
Suspension. Adoption, I'm sorry.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilwoman Sloto to adopt ordinance 2023-02 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-03 by title only, an ordinance providing temporary appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending March 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2023-03 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Saloto to adopt ordinance 2023-03 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, hold on.
Sorry.
Councilwoman Kowski?
Can someone explain exactly what this, the expenses that, and other expenditures are, what that entails?
I believe it's that $286,000 that the Finance Director Doles spoke
Okay,
about earlier.
that's what it is. Okay, all right.
Any further, Councilman Thielman?
Are we allowed to ask for like an itemized list of what that 283 is?
No,
No?
no, it's per Ohio Revised Code, you can't have any specifics.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the adoption? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-04 on a first reading. An ordinance amending Chapter 121, Council Section 121.01, Rules, Rule 7, Order of Business of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2023-05 on first reading. By title only, an ordinance amending Chapter 121, Council, Section 121.01, Rules, Rule number 4, Summer Schedule, and Rule number 5, Special Meetings of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2023-06 by title only, an ordinance providing for the compensation of certain appointed officials of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Thielman, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2023-06 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman to adopt ordinance 2023-06 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Seeing no resolutions, move on to other legislation. Miscellaneous, Councilwoman Saloto.
Yes, I'd like to put into committee, if I can, the topic of our fire personnel. Both, we need to have a discussion about the part-time versus full-time situation.
Okay.
I'm not sure which committee that would go into. The whole.
We'll put fire personnel, part-time versus full-time in the committee of the whole.
Okay.
Do you want to call a committee meeting for next Monday as well?
Sure. Let's just add that next Monday. We have to be here. I'll do my best. I'd call a committee meeting, yeah. Call committee of the whole, well, no.
Oh, you want to call the committee,
Yeah.
to the Service and Special Equipment Committee to
Oh,
discuss?
did I forget that already? I'm so sorry.
You're
I'm so
right.
caught up in my committee of the whole. Yeah, I do wanna call, a Service and Special Equipment Committee meeting for Monday. Talk about, Service Department capital improvements.
7 PM on Monday, the 16th?
Yes.
Councilman Jaworski?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I'd like to call the Improvement Committee meeting to follow that Service and Special Equipment Committee meeting. We would like to discuss the 2023 pavement improvement and infrastructure projects, the Rockefeller Road traffic study, and then I'll also add the cemetery improvements as well. So I believe those will all be affecting the budget.
Okay, we'll add those to the meeting on the 16th. And I'll follow up with the Finance Committee meeting to discuss the 2023 budget, the Safety Forces Capital, and this, oh, that's it, the Safety Forces Capital. So that'll follow both those other two meetings. Any other miscellaneous? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Sloto to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballant.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.